Good evening, everybody, and you're very welcome. Me and Paul, you see, we're not as serious as we are on the show. Not in real life. We have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a joke and a bit of a giggle. But so you caught us in the middle. We're having a few Ayatollah moments there. Should we start the show with a bit of the Ayatollah, Paul? What do you think?
I'll tell you what, Richard, I think before we do, I mean, it's not very often that you get exclusive images from places like Iran. I mean, getting these sort of images
Well,
out
mate,
of
you
Iran,
see, let me tell you
difficult.
something, Paul. Let me tell you something, Paul. When you've got Mossad connections, you can get the pictures, mate.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So
When
what
you've
have we
got-
got, Richard? What have we got?
Well, I mean, we couldn't possibly comment on where they came from, but I don't want people being shocked at this. It's quite a sort of graphic image, but I think the world's got a right to see that the Ayatollah Khomeini is actually deceased, and this is the first image, the breaking image that we've got of his body. So let's just have a little look. Do you know what, Paul? Those glasses look like Jerry Adams glasses. I'm just hoping to hit Jerry instead of the Ayatollah. But the good thing is Toys R Us in Bahrain's doing a roaring trade.
Limited edition, apparently.
A limited edition. They've got a brand new line. So the only thing that's missing from that is a little plastic goat, but
Talking to goats.
yeah, and of course, we've got to be very theologically correct here, because obviously the Ayatollah has become a shaheed. I think there's another way of saying that, but a something head, and he is now a martyr. So according to his theology, he now has. Well, this is his paradise. These are his 72 virgins. I don't think it was quite what he was expecting. But
Stop it.
Anyway, enough of that black humour.
And I've got to tell you, the best one of all, Richard's lost his bottle.
Oh, I'm not going to put that one up, Paul. You can put that on your show later. That's after the midnight watershed. That one, Paul. That's not going up, mate. You know what I mean? But anyway, you've got
all images courtesy of the comedians of TikTok.
Yeah, and Mossad, of course, Mossad. So remember, we're all getting paid by Mossad, Paul. Don't you forget it, mate. You know.
I've got to tell you, mate, the one that really tickled me was the Sam with the glasses. That's the one that really got me.
It's just the steam coming up, like, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just. Oh, sorry, guys. If you're offended, if you're offended by that, I don't apologise, because we all need a laugh from time to time. We all need to start quite light-hearted, because there is some serious stuff going on. And I don't know how to do a poll, right? But I just want to ask a very simple. It's going to be one of them shows, Paul. It's going to be one of them shows. After the couple of weeks we've had, we deserve a laugh, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Rich, please take that off the fucking screen, for God's sake.
Well, this is the poll, right? This is the poll. Okay, good. I want just a yes or a no, right? So I'm going to ask a question, right? And I want a yes or a no in the chat. So for this fella, right, that did this to Churchill, right? The yes or the no answer is hanging or not hanging. Hang him or don't hang him. Let me know in the comments. Just yes or no. If you want the guy that did this hung by the neck until dead for treason, then just put yes. If you think it's a bit extreme, put no.
I'll tell you what, Richard, I think it's a little bit extreme. I would settle for castration.
Well, I would just deport the scumbag. I'd put him in prison
after they've been castrated.
Yeah, because I mean he's obviously a born and bred Londoner called Caspar San Giorgio. So I mean, what have the Italians got against Churchill? That's what I want to know. Or the Spanish. I mean, especially the Spanish. What's he done? Prison time. There's quite a few people. Actually, there's quite a few people voting for hanging for this guy. So it shows that our audience is getting radicalised, Paul. I was only joking about hanging the fella. I was only joking about hanging him. Certainly bang him up, but we're not going to hang him for being an idiot and being a scumbag.
Well, I wouldn't hang him up by the neck.
No,
but, I'm not necessarily talking about hanging him up.
The neck. His toenails.
There's plenty of other things you could hang him up by.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I'm making light of this, but it's a very serious thing. I mean, that is the most iconic statue in the United Kingdom of a genuine hero. In I think it was in 2000, he was voted the greatest Briton that ever lived, right? Beating Boadicea, Oliver Cromwell, Shakespeare, the whole shooting gallery. I think he even beat the Spice Girls to be voted the greatest Briton that ever lived. And for somebody that obviously isn't from this country to treat Churchill's statue like that, I wouldn't dream of going to Spain and vandalising General Franco's statue, if there are any statues of General Franco. No doubt the left-wing government have taken them down. And General Franco was a pretty nasty, horrible fascist dictator that made life hell for a lot of Spanish people for a lot of years. I wouldn't go and vandalise his statue if there is one somewhere. Or El Cid's statue. But people think it's okay to come to this country and just vandalise our stuff. Now, maybe this guy was born here, but his name would suggest otherwise. His name would suggest that he's not of British stock. Let's just say it that way. Anyway, it is what it is. These things are sent to trials, and hopefully this guy will go to prison.
There's a load of messages in the chat saying, "Paul, are you opening up the phone lines tonight?" Well, we're on Richard's channel this evening, so that's entirely up to Richard. I don't think he's really set up for that, are you, Rich?
No, I'm not. I'm not set up for phone lines, and I'm being antisocial. I don't want to talk to anyone anyway.
So I get lumbered with you.
Unfortunately, Paul. Guys, I'm sorry. You're stuck with me and Paul, because I'm in grumpy old form. So I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to annoy people today. And,
all those people out there that want to take part on Richard's Too Miserable to let you, don't worry. I'll be back tomorrow, and you can all come on my channel. Don't worry about it. He's a miserable old git.
And by
Richard,
the way,
we got
if
some
you're watching,
serious stuff to talk about. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the Churchill thing is serious, Paul. I mean, it's like it shows the level of disrespect. I'm going to be honest with you, right? If I saw somebody doing that to Churchill, I would probably be in prison before they were in prison, because I would beat the living daylights out of them. I wouldn't get bored hitting them. How dare they do that to the greatest Englishman that ever lived? It's an absolute disgrace. Totally.
Well, do you know what, Richard? I think historically, if we was to be able to fast forward 100 years, that image potentially is the one that may well be used to represent the utter shit show and a mess that this country has become.
Yeah. Before you do that, Paul, I want to say, Claire Bear, I will. It was one of those days where everything every day just goes absolutely pet. You've no idea. It was just one of those days. Claire, I'm going to do it.
Sorry, Rich, it's not good enough, mate.
Claire, I'm going to phone you after this live stream. I'll be on the phone to you. Right.
See, if I was a grass, I'd tell you. If I was a grass, I'd tell Claire that you told me you were going to ring her this morning. So if I was a grass.
Yeah, well, I told Claire I was going to ring her this morning. Sorry, Claire. I will get there. But that is me mega told off, because it's capital letters, Paul. You know what capital letters mean? I'm in big trouble. Okay. Anyway, right. So yes, we have got some serious stuff to talk to. I mean, obviously, like you say about that image, it's really. I mean, that is just disgusting. And it's taken him some time to do that. So who the hell was... I'm guessing that happened. Do you know what they had this weekend? When did this happen, Paul? Was it?
I think, as far as I'm aware, it was the weekend.
It was the weekend, right? So there was, believe it or not, there was a protest this weekend to prevent this happening. They were worried about this guy. They were more worried about this guy, the protesters, and this is the serious point in this, right? They were more worried about the beardy weirdy Ayatollah than they were about the 40,000 innocent Iranian students, young women, young men that have been machine gunned to death by this fascist, Islamo-fascist regime. They were more worried about this guy with the funny hat, the smoking glasses and the vaporized beard. That's what they were more worried about. And I know what I'm worried about. Do you know what? I'm so glad that regime is crumbling, Paul, because that regime has been responsible for mass murder since 1979 all over the world. And the sooner it goes, and I hope the Iranians get liberty and get freedom of religion and democracy. And I think of all the countries in the Middle East, I think Iran's probably the country that can do it. I've had quite a few Iranian friends down through the years, and they're all very articulate, very intelligent,
nice people,
good, nice people, and they've been under the jackboot of this regime since 1979, and it's shameful. It's shameful.
And they've been, let's be honest, they've been the sponsor of terrorists for years now, haven't they? I mean, when you look at most of the terror attacks,
absolutely,
all roads lead to.
And I don't know about you, Paul. I'm feeling very proud to be British today. Proud to be British because we've got a prime minister. Trump is so contemptuous of our prime minister that he didn't even rebuke him properly. It was just like you'd say to a little child, "Keir, I'm very disappointed in you." You know, it's like a child that comes in late from school. Yeah. "Keir, I'm very disappointed in you." Well, I'm more than disappointed. I'm absolutely embarrassed. Absolutely embarrassed to say that this man is my prime minister. Let's just listen to what this clueless Keir says.
I'm not joining the US and Israeli offensive strikes. We believe that the best way forward for the region and for the world is a negotiated settlement.
Let's just stop that. Let's just stop that there for a second.
How do you negotiate with that regime?
Well, the problem is, Paul, it's who do you negotiate with now? Because every time somebody pops up to get negotiated with, the Israelis vaporize them. Yeah. So it's pretty difficult knowing who you're going to talk to, because as soon as they pop their heads, it's like whack-a-mole. As soon as they pop their heads out of the little box, you know, there's a big cruise missile. Well, not even a big cruise missile, just a very good precision weapon landing in the living room. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult to know who you will actually talk to.
Well, my question would be, who does he think he can talk to out there that's going to tell him the truth and make any sense?
But I mean, the point is, who's he going to talk to? Because most of them are dead. I mean, you know, I don't think he fully understands the concept of war. I mean, once they start shooting, especially with the Americans and the Israelis. They're not going to be worried about getting dragged into court by some left-wing treacherous lawyer of a whatever he is, the Attorney General. They're not going to be too worried about that, because that just doesn't happen in America and Israel. They're not going to get dragged through the courts for vaporizing bad guys. And I don't know if you heard about the Hezbollah guy. He got appointed this morning, launched a few missiles at Israel. By lunchtime, he had his 72 virgins. So, you know, they're not messing about, Paul. They're not messing about.
They're not messing about. You know, they're not messing about.
And it needs to be done, because sometimes you've got to kill bad people to make the world a better place.
Unfortunately, that is the truth.
People don't like that because we've all got so soft and pathetic. It's like, did I ever tell you the story, Paul, about Private Tandy?
Go on, no.
Right. Private Tandy was in the Duke of Wellington's regiment. Okay, that was my regiment in the First World War, and it was one of the few advances that the Allies made that was successful, and they took a lot of territory. And anyway, Tandy storms this trench, and at the bottom of the trench is a little corporal, no weapon. He's thrown his weapon away. He's cowering in the bottom of the trench like this, and Tandy looks at him and he goes, "I'm not going to kill this guy. You know, he's just pathetic. He's crying. He's wet himself. He's injured. Get him back down the line. We'll take him as a prisoner of war." So he does it. Goes back after the war. Doesn't think any more about it. Then in the early 1930s, this is a true story. The early 1930s, Private Tandy gets a telegram from the new German Chancellor to thank him for not killing him when he was in the trench.
Wow.
In 19 whatever it was, 15, 16, whenever it was. And of course, the guy that he had on the end of his bayonet and didn't kill was Adolf Hitler. And how different would a world history have been if Tandy had just gone, "Well, do you know what? He's a bad guy.
Have some of that."
Stuck the bayonet in his head, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So to me,
And that's a true story, Rich. Is it?
that's a true story.
I'm
Go and,
amazed.
go and Google Private Tandy.
You know,
It was my
amazed
it was
I've
my
never
old
heard
regiment,
of
the Duke
that.
of Wellington's regiment. You know, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he wasn't too happy with himself when he realised who he didn't kill. You know, but you know, it is what it is. But anyway, let's carry on listening to what Clueless Keir is saying, because he thinks war's a really bad idea with Iran for some reason.
In which Iran agrees to give up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon. Mr. Speaker, the United
Again, Paul, what do you think? Do you think if Keir had been negotiating, that he'd just given up the nuclear weapons?
Well, you know the answer to that one, Richard, don't you? I mean, look, you know, the bottom line is he's probably absolutely crapping himself that he's going to lose a load more votes that he's already lost back home here. You know, so, you know, someone said on the TV earlier on he must have splinters in his arse from sitting on the fence. Well, that is the position that he's brought on himself, isn't it? I mean, he's losing votes. He's bleeding votes to the Greens, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And once he loses the votes of the people that hate the country, I mean, we've always said that most Labour voters hate the country. You know, in recent times, not going back in history, but in recent years, if you vote Labour, you pretty much hate the country. And now he's lost all those people. He's running out of people left to hate the country, isn't he?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, do you know what amazes me, Paul, is, yeah, we know that there's, obviously this sectarian voting is a massive, massive problem. And the truth of the matter is it's something that needs to be addressed. But the problem is the Labour Party aren't going to address it because they benefit from it. So it's not going to be addressed before the next general election. So the next general election, and I'm not going to redig the wells that we went, those wells that we went down to last week. But what we do need for the next general election is some way of cobbling something together so that we can get these left-wing progressive, vile, disgusting people out of power. You know, and whether it means that you have to work with the Conservative Party, the Reform, Restore, Advance, all working together,
whatever it takes.
UKIP, whatever it takes, everybody's got to come together for that next election. Somebody's got to. And do you know what, Paul? I think you're the man to do that. Do you know what? I'm actually not joking when I say that, because you have a way of bringing people together. If I tried to bring them together, they'd all end up fighting in the car park. Okay.
Oh, mate. This week I'd have had.
But that's because you were doing stuff with me. It wasn't your fault, Paul. It was me. It was me that got you into trouble. But no, I think you could do it. But the other thing is, right? The other thing I think we should do is we should get people signing the pledge in a massive way, because I think the pledge is something that people could unify around, and that would get rid of all the extremes. You know, if you're an extremist, you can't sign the pledge, right? So I think the pledge definitely needs to be pushed more, and I think that's what we need to do, because we can't have a situation where these people stay in power, Paul. We've got to get rid of them. They've got to go. So what? Let's have a look at.
I can't wait. Go on, you go. It's your show.
No, you go, Paul. No, I was being rude.
I can't wait to get ripped into Rachel Reeves tonight. So whenever you're ready with that one, let's go.
Do it, Paul. Let's get Rachel. Let's get Rachel on the screen so Paul can get ripped into it.
Rachel Fennies, Rachel Reeves, whatever you want to call her.
Give her both barrels, Paul. You were talking about shotguns. You were talking about shotguns before we came on.
Metaphorically, Richard. Metaphorically.
It's all right. You're in Spain, Paul. Don't worry about it. You know?
No, mate, no. Can we play that video?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Where Rachel Reeves is the MP, 1 in 4 aren't working. Now, here in Leeds, where Rachel Reeves is the MP, 1 in 4 aren't working. Now, you'd think the person in charge of the economy would be focused on fixing that. Instead, she's been hanging out with the man she describes as her friend, Arshan Katana.
Pleasure to be here with you this evening.
A man who shared a military video, which also glorified terrorists from 2 terror groups, who said that those who speak against Islam are an evil gang who he will help to destroy, who's hosted preachers at his Leeds mosque with vile views. One said we shouldn't use Google because it's run by the Jews. Another is infamous for supporting a despicable Islamist murderer. Arshad has shared conspiracy theories about 9/11 and an international lending mafia backed by Zionist Rothschild criminals. He's called for revenge against India and for everyone to get together and finish these evils on earth. And he said he would only support Reeves and Labour if they do what I demand. Why is Reeves friends with this man? Why is she hanging out with him time and again since 2010? Why is she asking his views on foreign policy? And why is she going round to Ashad's house as Chancellor for lunch? Shouldn't she be focused on getting your bills down and bringing back good jobs? A reform government won't be for people with views like Arshad's. Will be for you.
Now, what I find incredible there, Richard, what I find absolutely incredible on an all serious note is, first of all, why is the Chancellor of the Exchequer appearing in pictures and videos wearing a tea towel on her head? That's the first question. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and you know, to some degree, I think it shows a willingness to be treasonous to your country. But the more serious point is that it's alleged that Rachel Reeves has met with this guy on at least 27 occasions. That is not a passing acquaintance. That is not, you know, just someone that you bump into every now and again or mixes in the same circles and you just so happen to be in their company or in a room where they happen to be. I mean, I've not met you 27 times, Richard. And for her to be in that man's company on that number of occasions, clearly something is going on. Now, in recent weeks, we've seen Andrew and Peter Manderson arrested for alleged misconduct in public office. And I think another word for that really would be treason, wouldn't it, really?
Yep,
I mean,
absolutely.
For me, there can be no shadow of any doubt whatsoever. And I would like people in the sphere, you know, watching tonight to get this trending, that the police should be arresting and questioning Rachel Reeves and investigating her dealings with this individual. She is not just an ordinary member of the public. She's not just a school governor, or, you know, she's not someone with she's not a local councillor. She's not even just an MP. She's the Chancellor in charge of the nation's economy. It's incredible that the levels of sectarianism that have crept in, not only to Labour, but to British politics in general. But this is sinister, Richard. This is not, you know, this is not a joke. This is very, very serious indeed. Who knows what these people may have on her? Who knows? I don't know the answer to that, Richard. She might have something on them. I don't know. So what we need is a police investigation to find out the length, depth and breadth of this relationship with these individuals.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the other thing is, Paul, we've got to understand the level of voter fraud. I mean, you know, people are poo-pooing, what do we call it, Nigel Farage for asking, and I think Ben actually asked for a police investigation into what happened in Gorton and Denton as well. They're mocking it. But the reality is, and I've said this before, I think I said it was on your channel the other night, Paul, there is massive voter fraud in these Pakistani areas, and I can prove it. You know,
Richard, the BBC called that Islamophobia last night.
I know. I saw it. I know. I mean, you know, it's happening. It's true. You know, when you've got 20 people living in a 2-bedroom terraced house in the middle of Telford, I know they pack them in there, you know, but I mean, 20 people in one house, it's fraud. It's as simple as that. There's massive voter fraud taking place there, and somebody needs to do something about it. And you know, do you know what? Put all the party politics aside. There's loads of people putting restore and stuff in the chat. I'm not interested. Put all the party politics aside. We need to find a way of getting rid of these progressives out of power and getting a government in power. I don't care what we have to do or who we have to do a deal with. There's good people in the Conservative Party. There's good people in Restore. There's good people in Advance. There's good people in Reform. We've got to find a way of getting past. And can I say, I think the only leader that I would say in all of this that doesn't have a massive ego is Ben Habib. I think I can safely say that. So, but what we need to do, putting all the party politics aside, we need to find a way of bringing people together, because that's the only way we're going to do this, Paul.
100%.
We've got to vote them out, and it's the only way we can do it. No, I mean, there needs to be a police investigation, and is he the man? Is he the guy? This Muslim guy? Is he the guy that literally brings her a little sweetie bag with loads and loads of votes in it? That's got to be it. It's got to be votes.
He allegedly. So I mean, I'm only repeating what I've heard on the news, right? But allegedly, this guy is saying that she's in his pocket.
Yeah.
Now, if she's in his pocket, that means corruption. Now, I know this might sound shocking to some people, but I don't care. I mean, I think most of the audience will agree, but I'm going to say it anyway. A lot of people would say it's this, that, and the other, but I don't think any of these people should even have a vote in our country.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I mean, I absolutely agree with that, especially because they're actually using this system to try and destroy democracy in our country. They're using democracy to destroy democracy. That's the plan. And it is a plot by Pakistani Islamist political parties, Bangladeshi Islamist political parties, and the Muslim Brotherhood to subvert our democracy, take over our democracy, install and push upon us Sharia law, Islamic blasphemy laws, ramp up the rhetoric around this garbage Islamophobia bill, which has changed its name to something like anti-Muslim prejudice or whatever it is, but it's the same garbage repackaged. And the Labour government will do this because they think it's going to win them some votes. But how can they do this, Paul? Right? Because the Labour government is off the chart. Vegetable rights and peace. Environment. Trans rights and all the rest of it. Completely polar opposite to what the Islamists are. So do they not realise that they are literally turkeys voting for Christmas? Do they not get that, gays for Gaza will be getting thrown off blocks of flats in Bradford, not just in Gaza, by these crazy savages that have come here not to take part, but to take over. Not to take part, take over. That's what you're dealing with.
Richard, I honestly believe after having to sit through hours and hours and hours, like many of us have done, watching and listening to these people at counter demonstrations, the lefties, there is seriously a lot of mental illness in amongst them. A lot, and I'm not joking when I say that. I mean it.
Yep.
There's a lot of mental illness involved here.
I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I think it is.
Yeah, when you listen to some of them, when you get these auditors out and they're trying to interview these people.
Yeah.
And when they do, so on the odd occasion, when they open up and they start to speak, you've only got to look at the way they're dressed, the way they look, just the deadness in their eyes. They're clearly missing their meds. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say that. So a lot of these people are genuinely mentally unstable.
Oh, definitely.
And there's no doubt about that. And I think that people that, those in the gay community, the trans community, I said this in a video yesterday, those people that are saddling up to the Greens, they must be stark raving mad. I'm sorry, They must be absolutely off their trolley.
Totally, and it's also the politicians. Somebody put it in the comment. They're scared of the jihadists. They're actually cowards. Our politicians are cowards.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I said this yesterday, and again, I think I said it personally to Tommy, but I said it publicly as well on one of the channels. I said, look, Tommy was talking about Rupert Lowe being the next Trump. I said, you know what? I says, I actually think Tommy's potentially the next Trump. Give it 10 years time, 8 to 10 years, when he's got himself established. He's gonna, I think if he manages to get, I don't know if he's trying to, but if he managed to get asylum or something in America and build himself up in America, he could come back to this country after the next election and absolutely storm it. You know what I mean? And the reason that we need someone like Tommy is because he's not afraid. I mean, honestly, people can say what they want about Tommy, right? But he is not afraid. He will go and go and go and go until someone puts him down. That's just his nature. And that's what we need in this fight. And, are there other people that might step up to do that? Possibly. But, so I think there's a possibility that in 8 to 10 years' time, and I know this sounds crazy, in 8 to 10 years' time, we could see Prime Minister Stephen Yaxley Lennon
it's not completely crazy. I mean, for me, I think for Tommy to ever have a chance to get into that position, he'd have to clean his act up in a number of areas. He'd have to become a little bit more polished. I know people are fed up with polished politicians, right? But at the end of the day, I've said this, and I've got into trouble for saying it this week, Richard. To win an election, you need Middle England. Now, I heard a stat earlier on.
You do.
Can't remember where I heard it, but they were saying that only 14% of people get their political feedback and news from the internet.
Yeah.
14%. The rest watch the mainstream media.
At the minute, Paul. At the minute. I think you're right when it comes to all the excitement over political parties on the right at the minute. Yeah. There's a reality check comes to everybody, right? And the Reform should have got that seat up in Gorton and Denton, right? And here's the thing about that: if Reform had managed to galvanise, if someone from Reform had picked up the phone, and again I'm speculating because last time I said this, somebody clipped it and sent it to someone, and it caused me problems. But I'm speculating, right? But I would imagine that if Reform and if Nigel Farage picked up the phone to Ben and Rupert picked up the phone to Ben and they all had a chat and said, okay, we need to win this by-election, let's work together on this, and got Nick Tinconi involved as well, and all those parties on the right went, okay, let's work together on this one, and let's all stand aside and let this candidate go, and we'll actually, even more than just stand aside, we'll go and campaign on behalf of that person in a unified way. They would storm it, but the problem is there's so little trust. There's so little trust, Paul, because nobody trusts Farage. The trust has broken down, between Advance and Restore. So there's so little trust that at the moment it seems that's impossible. But what needs to happen? It needs to become possible. But even if you'd added up the votes from Advance and
wouldn't have made any difference,
and the Conservative Party, you'd have still been 3,000 votes shy.
Yeah,
of winning that election.
Look, here's the thing, Richard. I don't actually think it was such a bad thing that Reform did get a bit of a not trouncing, but they needed to be humbled, right?
I think so.
Not only did they need to be humbled, I think more importantly, what did we get? I mean, let's be honest. If Reform would have won that by-election last week, what would we have gained? Well, Reform would have had one more MP in Parliament.
Yeah. Exactly.
What have we learned from them not winning it? Well, Reform will have learned that they need that lot. Reform will have learned that perhaps their politics and their policies are not strong enough to make those people who wouldn't get off their settees and motivate them into going to vote. So they're not hitting home with their message. We've learned that. We've also learned that allegedly the other lot are more than capable of a bit of election fraud.
Yep.
So we've actually learned a lot more by Reform losing that election potentially than we would have gained from it. After all, it was only a by-election. It's not a general election.
Yeah, well, that's right, and it's better to lose in a by-election and realise, where we're at.
Mistakes.
Yeah,
better to lose in a pre-season friendly than when the season starts.
Absolutely,
right?
and it's like people have been obviously very upset about all the infighting and so on and so forth, and I get that because people are going, this is our last hope and all the rest of it. But I think here's my take on that, Paul. Right, and I'm not going to go into the actual circumstance of who's right, who's wrong, but I think you're better having these discussions now and clearing the air now than having these discussions in three years' time, so you've and I think me being honest about what I believe, if I didn't do that and I wasn't speaking honestly, when I see something that concerns me, then I wouldn't be doing the movement or myself any favours. So I think, it is important to actually talk about these sort of things now, and then in 3 years' time, hopefully, when there's everything settled, everyone will know where everybody stands, and so that's what we need to do, guys. We need to find a way of unifying, and I still think the pledge is the best unifying document.
What I want to see, Richard, what I am absolutely living in hope and the dream is that when all this is over, I want to see a special dedicated unit that goes around and arrests politicians historically for their crimes against the British people.
Yeah, I agree.
And not only is that's not just a dream, that is potentially a reality that needs to happen.
Yeah.
It genuinely needs to happen.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's treason. I think, and I would go back to Blair. I would go back as far as Tony Blair, if he's still alive by the time we get power.
I would start with Tony Blair and work my way downwards from there.
Totally.
And I would also include, you know what, Richard? I would also include probably hundreds of people from the mainstream media, people from the BBC, who have been complicit, in all of this.
Absolutely.
And when you think of the people that they were prepared to send to prison for allegedly stirring up hatred after the Southport riots, that pales into insignificance as to what has happened to our country through the actions of some of these people.
Well,
they should be looking at life imprisonment.
Absolutely. And when you think about the grooming gangs that they all knew about, they all knew it was happening. They did know, they can't wriggle out of that. The politicians knew, both Labour, Conservative and Liberal Democrat, who were basically the three main parties then. They were in on it. If they weren't actually in on the conspiracy, they turned away and looked the other way.
Yeah.
While, the daughters of England
were... If you turn the other cheek, you are guilty.
In this case, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's have a look at some of the super chats, Paul, and then we'll basically go through the other couple of stories that we want to look at, because there's a lot been happening today. It's been a very, very busy day. Teal 4240, thanks very much for becoming a new member. That's great. Debbie Vaughan, thanks very much for the super chat. That's
evening,
fantastic.
Debbie.
Charlie Kelly, are you opening up the link for? No, no, we're
Charlie,
not.
if you want a pro, mate, you got to wait till I'm hosting my own show.
Funny. He's
tonight
funny.
we're hosting from Richards, and he's put 2 bob in the meter, so I've got to let him go tonight. Go on.
He's a funny guy, isn't he? Hey. Anyway, little and large here.
What do you mean? I'm a funny guy.
Well, you're funny. You're amusing. You're a funny guy. If anyone doesn't get that reference, in fact, hold on, Paul, just go and find that clip from that. Oh no, we'll get a strike, won't we? But if anyone doesn't know that reference, then they haven't lived in the world we've lived in.
Yeah.
The guy harmed the Churchill statue is awful. Absolutely, Jack, an absolute scumbag. Paul, I've been a fan of you and Tommy for a while, but why did Tommy tag Rupert and make that Ian Wright question utter stupidity? Righty is a lefty. Well, you've got every right to your opinion there, Mr. J. June Harris, thanks very much for the super sticker. Debbie Vaughan, listen to Tony Mac's story on Guardian Mo. Do you know, I really like Guardian Mo. Have you watched Guardian Mo?
Yeah,
it's great, lad. Really good lad. I've still got I interviewed him at that thing in London about 2 weeks ago, and there's been that much going on. I haven't even put any of those interviews up yet. So Guardian Mo, I do want to get that interview. I'm going to find it and stick it on one of the channels. Okay. To be honest, the next election, I'll be voting for whichever right-leaning party will keep the left out of it. Yeah, absolutely, Yorkshire Tea. Do you know what? That's the way it's got to be. We've got to be really, really sensible about this, and we've got to say, okay, if we want to get these people out, we've got to do whatever we've got to do to get them out.
Richard, even when I held that position within the college, which some people still haven't actually necessarily heard, that I've actually resigned my position from the Advanced UK College. Not as a reflection on Ben or the party, but because really I want to be able to say what I need to say. I need to be able to tell the truth without feeling bad about Ben or the party or anyone else within it. And I will say now, what Yorkshire T has said there, I said it even before I left. But, you know, it may well be that we all have to hold our nose and vote for reform. Who knows?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I've got a good local MP. I hope he's standing again. He's an independent. He's a friend of mine. And he's a great guy and a brilliant constituency MP. And, you know, he's helped a lot of my friends, a lot of my family, a lot of people I know. And that's what you need. You need an MP that's actually going to do something for you. But what we need a government that's going to do something for us and is going to sort this mess out.
What we do, Richard, if Farage and Co was to get in the next election and they were, we have to lend them, and I mean lend them our votes, what we do need to do is put the pressure on them like they have never felt before to keep their promises, and in fact not only keep them, to exceed what they promise us.
Yeah.
You know, they're making some reasonable noises recently, but will the buggers keep their word?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you've got to hold their feet to the fire. You know, so you've got to hold their feet to the fire. And again, I keep going back to it. I think the pledge is a way of doing that. I really do. If everybody signed up to the pledge, then they're going to have to put into action the policies and the ideology that's actually in the pledge. So that's something we can all certainly.
Yeah, but you're never going to get them to sign that, Ben.
Why? Well, you don't know, Paul. It depends on what's happening. You don't look. There's a long way to go between now and then. And if they signed it as a lot of them will have signed it as individuals anyway.
Individuals, yeah.
You know,
yeah. But
so let's see what happens. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to play. I tell you what, let's have a bit of good news. This was the migrant hotel that we've been protesting outside for 3 years in my hometown. Across it, well, not my hometown because I wasn't born here, but the town I lived in for 40 years. We got the migrant hotel closed down. 3 years of peaceful protest, not one arrest. Well, I nearly got arrested I didn't nearly get arrested, but the police have been a bit stroppy with me on Friday. But this was the last time that we'll have to go up to these doors.
They've probably been watching you on my channel, Richard, and they probably thought that was their chance to get one back on you.
Mate, I think they've been watching me more than on just your channel, Paul. I think they've been taking quite an interest in me in the last 3 years, but let's have a look at what happened. So here we are. This is the front of the hotel, and let's just see what happens when we give these doors a little bit of a rattle. See if anybody comes. There you go. There's a couple of guys in there just sitting there. And they're looking. Here they go, they're coming out now. We'll get them on camera. All right. Yeah, we're just seeing what's happening here. So is it closed down, is it?
I can't make any public comment. Is it Richard, is it?
Yeah, it's Richard, yeah. Okay. So here's the police arrived. So someone's coming to the door.
Richard,
Not sure what's happening.
you've done well so far.
We've done it, haven't we? I mean, we've closed it. So as far as I'm concerned, the job's done.
You've protested well within the law.
Yeah.
Can I ask you just to move back?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
So they've all gone then? They've all gone?
I can't make public comment on that, Richard, thanks.
Well, all the beds have gone, so that would suggest nobody's living there. Would that make sense? I think by the smile on your face, you know rightly what's happened, and you're just as happy as we are for it. So there's a couple of people in there. There must be security. The hotel itself definitely seems to be closed. So could you just step back a bit from me, please? Just. I'm not going to go on. Just.
I have a job to do.
No, I know, but you don't have to be right in my face. Just step back, please.
You're
just
also in mine.
No, I'm not. No, I moved back. You asked me to move back. I moved back.
I've not been funny.
I've
asked you to move back.
No, and I have moved back, but you kept moving towards me. No, I know, but you kept. There's no reason to move towards me, right? Because I find that intimidating. I'm not committing a crime, right?
No, I haven't suggested.
Okay, that's fine. All I want is a bit of space. I'm trying to film through the door, and you keep standing in front of the camera, so it makes it a bit difficult to film.
You know the score.
So do you? Yes. So do you.
They don't want people filming through the door.
I don't care. I don't care. Do you know what? I don't care whether they want people filming through the door. It's not an offence to film through the door of a hotel. It's not an offence to go around the back and film through the doors of the hotel. I can film anywhere I want here. You know, I can. So I'm not breaking any laws. You know, you're doing your job. I'm doing my job. Okay.
Oh, you're okay.
And I think you're just as happy as we are that the hotel's closed. So there we go, guys. It's closed. Thank goodness. 3-year protest, successful as far as we can see. We'll have a look through, see what's going on up there. Doesn't seem to be anything. Normally there's people moving about up there. There's no sign of life whatsoever. A couple of people inside the hotel, but I think they're security. Yeah. Seems job is done. So there we go, guys. That's a reason to celebrate. I mean, obviously the problem we've got is that these people that were in that hotel, they will have been moved probably to HMOs around Northern Ireland. So it's a Pyrrhic victory, but it's still a victory of sorts. And what we did manage to do, Paul, was we managed to get all the men removed from that hotel about 1.5 years ago. So that was full of Afghans, Somali men, like the Clampett that we're going to see in a minute, people that just shouldn't have been in our town, causing a danger to our wives, our daughters, our children and grandchildren. And our protest got them removed from our town.
Like you say, though, Richard, it's a victory, but it's a shallow victory because
they'll only be moving.
Yeah, they'll only be moving on to someone else's, doorstep.
But I would imagine. I mean, what happened was for the past 1.5 years, it was just women in the hotel, and we were very low key. We didn't, in any way harass the women. We didn't even harass the men when the men were in it. But we just made our presence felt once a week, an hour a week. That's all it took, and my local MP came to me before Christmas and told me that the hotel was going to close at the end of February, and true to his word, it did close at the end of February. And he said, Richard, that was absolutely as a result of your protest. Your peaceful protest. It wasn't my protest. I was just a foot soldier. I was just turning.
So what are you going to do to yourself on Friday nights now, Richard?
Oh, we'll keep ourselves busy. We've got.
I was going to say you'll have to find the new house.
We've got plans, but I couldn't possibly comment. You know what I mean? There's plenty that we can be doing. We can get ourselves into mischief doing all sorts of things, but no, we built a little community down there, Paul, and so we're gonna keep meeting, and we're gonna. We do have ideas, and we're going to discuss the ideas and then decide on what we're going to do. And obviously, we're going to be looking at organising advance in Northern Ireland as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on at the minute in the background. So, as if I haven't got enough on my hands, Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but there we go. So yeah, but I guess the point I'm making is, Paul, right? See that there? That shows you that protests can work. If you're just relentless, you keep it calm, you keep it, because we went right up to the line in terms of what we could do legally, sort of doing white line protests, standing on the road, getting big numbers down there. Sometimes we had a lot of people, sometimes we just had 20 like we had there. A couple of times we had a few hundred. When we had big numbers, we just took over the road. What can you do? You've got hundreds of people there, you've got to do it. So the police had to police that every single week, not knowing what would happen. And that cost them money.
When you do that, Richard, sorry to butting in there, but a question for you. When you start to get in the road and you potentially, start to inhibit the traffic, does that, damage the support of from the locals necessarily, or are they still, they're okay with it?
The people who support you will support you. The people who won't support you, there's always lefties. There's lefties in every town. We'd loads of people. There's a guy who ran me over one night.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
But so you're always going to get the idiots. You're always going to get the people that are going to come against you. But the truth is, it's always worth doing it. It's always worth doing something rather than doing nothing. Because if you do nothing, they just think they can keep taking liberties with you. Yeah. And, I mean there was a question.
Sorry, Rich. Can I tell you a funny story while it comes into my head?
Go on.
Yesterday, we was out in Benidorm for Sunday lunch, and we walked into a bar. I kind of knew where we was going, right? Yeah. But I didn't let on too much. But we walked into a bar, and it was the Glasgow Derby was on, Celtic Rangers, right? And it was full of Rangers fans. Obviously, there weren't a Celtic fan in sight. It was full of Rangers supporters. And when we entered the game, Rangers were 2-1 up, right? Now, my wife, she hasn't got a goddamn clue about football. All she knows is I support Fulham, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't know about football. So we've taken a seat, and I've made sure I've got a seat where I can see the screen. And she said, "God, blimey, it's noisy in here, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah. Well, the football's on. It's the Glasgow, it's the Rangers Celtic derby." And she went, "Oh, is that a big game?" I said, "Well, just a bit, just up there, just a little bit, right?"
Exactly.
And so Celtic get a penalty, right? Celtic get a penalty towards the end of the game, and she says to me, "Is there going to be a big cheer if he scores?" I said, "I don't think so."
Oh dear, mate. I mean, it's just a good job you weren't in the Celtic bar, isn't it, Paul? You know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't, to be honest with you, mate, I wouldn't have gone into a Celtic bar.
No, neither would I. I don't think I'd get out alive, you know what I mean? But Julie, thanks for that. And we should all do what's best for the country. Obviously, that's in response to voting. Absolutely, 100%. That's what we've got to do. It's always got to be country before party, and I think that's been very much what I've always believed, and that's what it's got to be. Whatever's best for the country, we have to do, and we won't know what that is for some considerable time. I would imagine. Okay, right. So let's have a look at this this guy. I mean, I just want to ask everybody in the chat where you think this guy's from. Just going to ask. So let's just need to remove stuff from here. So let's have a look. Okay. What do you think, Paul? Where do you think now? This is a guy in Scotland. He's in Edinburgh. Where do you think he's come from?
He looks like he's from the Highlands to me, maybe sort of Braveheart territory. He looks a little bit like, what was his name?
Mel Gibson.
Oh, Mel Gibson, yeah. I'll say potentially looks like a bit like Mel. So I'd say Inverness, somewhere like that.
I was thinking Inverness, Grantown on Spey, somewhere like that. One of those nice little rural Scottish villages. He's definitely indigenous to Scotland, isn't he? I mean, he's definitely a Scot. Yeah,
a good Scots lad. And if you ever heard him sing, Richard, he does a magnificent rendition of "Flower of Scotland." I mean,
don't start me singing "Flower of Scotland," Paul. Actually, do you know? I found out recently that I am, I think, a quarter Scottish, a quarter English, a quarter Irish, and I don't know what the other quarter is. Hopefully Welsh, and that would be the full house, wouldn't it? But yeah. So yeah, I think I'm more Scottish than this geezer. But in all seriousness, this is serious because this guy. Some people are saying he's from Somalia. Who knows? I mean, Eritrea, Somalia, somewhere in that neck of the woods. But let's just have a little look at this footage because this is chilling. This footage is absolutely chilling. So let's just get Smiler out of the picture there, and add this one.
Debbie, Loch Ness monster.
He is a monster. But look at this though, Paul.
Yeah.
Look at the chaos he's created. I don't know whether anyone was stabbed. I haven't heard too much about it. But it was obviously a very, very violent attack. And is it any wonder that people are getting hacked off with what's going on in the country?
Well, maybe Gary Lineker's got a spare bedroom for him.
Well, yeah, Gary
Phil
Lineker.
Neville. Maybe Gary Neville.
Gary Neville. Don't leave Phil out of it. Phil's all right. Is Phil a lefty? I don't know. Is Phil a lefty
probably,
as well?
Probably. But maybe Gary Neville or Gary Lineker's got a spare room for this unfortunate gentleman. I mean, the bottom line is, Richard, I did a live earlier on and I was absolutely fucking fuming, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
My heart was pumping through my chest because initially
Two people stabbed.
Well, apparently I've heard it's now 3, but anyway, 2 or 3. The reports earlier on was saying that he was heading for a school, and just the whole thing ran through my mind about bloody Southport. And I mean, where does this?
Do you know? I wonder if the police started shooting these people, if it would basically cool their jets and stop these guys doing this sort of crazy stuff.
No, I don't think so. They
just don't care, do they?
No, they don't care. I mean, they've said it themselves. When they love life, when they love death more than life, it matters to them. So 3 stabbed, 4 hospitalised.
Tried to get into a nursery before he went into the shop.
And it was 8:30 in the morning as well, by the way, just as the kids are about to turn up.
Yeah.
Now this is where things really start to take a serious turn. And I'm not saying this now because I want people to go and give me views. But if you watch my live from this afternoon, where it was quite emotional. I mean, I had one lovely lady caller on there crying her eyes out over this. I mean, literally, she was distraught, right? I mean, Richard, if we've become a nation that cannot protect our children, if we've become a nation that has to send our babies to school in the morning with our fingers crossed that there isn't an attack, something is very badly wrong. And I don't care what words they want to use, racism, they can use the word Islamophobic. They can, I mean, if that's what they call Islamophobic, then fuck yeah, I'm an Islamophobe. Because I tell you what, I worry about people that might potentially go to school and start pulling out knives.
Well, I mean,
that's not a phobia, Richard.
No,
that's
it's not a phobia.
Fear.
I mean, this is the whole point. There is no such thing as Islamophobia because people should be concerned about Islam. I'm not afraid of it, so I'm not an Islamophobe. I just despise it. You know, I despise the ideology.
You know about the police car, Richard? Do you know about the police car?
No.
Okay, so there was a police car on the spot at the scene
when it happened,
and they didn't get out of the car because they was told it was a firearms response unit, so they were to stay in their car. They left it to a local man who borrowed a spirit level from someone else
to smack him with,
to go and have a go at the bloke with.
Wow.
So in this country, right in front of our very own police officers' eyes, right, and I go through all this in detail in the live that I did earlier, by the way, right? They sat there and left it to a member of the public to go and attack this bloke or to go and confront him with a spirit level. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up, Richard. The only thing that would complete this story, that would complete this circle of a crazy story, is if they arrested the guy with the spirit level afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stranger things have happened, Paul. I mean, look what's happening with these soldiers from Northern Ireland that kill terrorists, and they're getting dragged through the courts in the 60s and 70s. SAS heroes, that basically saved Northern Ireland from absolute carnage by killing these people, are now being dragged through the courts. So it's absolute madness. I mean, that guy should have been shot dead. When the armed response people got there, they should have just shot him.
Well, he was like, to be fair, he was held up in an apartment on the top floor. When he, by the way, Danny's in the chat. Good evening, Danny.
Hey, Danny, what's happening? We need to get Danny on the channel again, Paul.
Yeah, 100%.
We need to get him back on. But I mean, it's crazy, and this is why we absolutely need. What are you laughing at? Come on.
The hero with the spirit level was very level-headed.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, dear. Well, listen, the moment I saw him at that spirit level, I knew he wanted a straightener.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Well, listen, I mean, the thing is, at least you didn't end up with a terrible...
Do you know what he said to him when he got there? He said, "Are you on the level?"
Paul, don't give up the day job, mate. Oh. Don't give up the day job, whatever you do.
Go on.
But no, I mean, get him out. He needs to be locked up and deported. They need to get rid of him. Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. They'll be banning spirit levels next.
But yeah, they'll be banning, exactly. Here's the thing, Richard, though, at the end of the day, the BBC were very quick to issue a statement from the police who said this is not a terror-related incident and there is no wider threat to the wider community, right? So a man walking around in the street with two carving knives in his hand is apparently not a threat to the wider community. Do they think that we are absolutely just start raving bonkers? Obviously. Do they think we are all as thick as pig shit?
Yeah, of course they do.
Because I tell you now, Richard, if I see a bloke walking around in the street with two bloodied carving knives in his hand, I would quite safely predict that that's a danger to the wider public, and it could very well be terrorism. I certainly wouldn't. And they ruled terrorism out before they'd even arrested him.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
How can you rule? Richard, here's the question. Stop shitting us, right? How can they rule out terrorism before they've even arrested him?
This is the whole thing.
When normally the standard patter, the standard line from police when there's a crime is that we're not ruling anything out at this particular moment.
Totally.
But they're quite happy to rule out terrorism.
Yeah. I mean, unless they knew that he was escaped from some insane asylum this morning or something. I mean, it just and really the truth is, most of these terrorists are mentally ill anyway.
Richard, if he'd have shouted out the two magic words, they would have still ruled out terrorism. They'd have
Oh,
gone
absolutely.
They would have gone straight for the mental health.
You mean Alan's snack bar?
Alan Snack Bar,
Alan
yeah.
Snack Bar. If he'd have been shouting Alan Snack Bar, that you said, well, it's just down there, just 100 yards down the road, you find Alan Snack Bar. Yeah. It's crazy.
Illness.
But no, you know, and again, thank goodness that didn't turn into a Southport, Paul. Do you know what I mean?
Richard, it made me feel sick earlier on. Do you know what? Honestly, and I kid you not, at one stage when I'm doing my live earlier on, I could feel my heart pumping out my chest. That's how frigging angry I was. Thinking about how close we could have been to another Southport.
Well, we had it in my hometown. We had a Fulani, a guy with a Fulani name, and the Fulani are the jihadists that are attacking black Christians in Nigeria and killing them wholesale, walking round our town for 5 days, armed with a knife, approaching kids. It took 5 days for the police to arrest him. Right? 5 days. And that's in a little town in Northern Ireland. And I'm going to tell you now, see if he'd have done something, the whole of Northern Ireland would have gone up. There wouldn't have been any of this, you know, the whole country would have gone up. If that happens once in Northern Ireland, I can guarantee you the whole country will burn. I can absolutely guarantee it. I'm not saying I condone it.
The thing is, Richard,
but
do you
that's
know
what happened.
Right now? Do you know something right now? I feel that we are probably at this moment in time less susceptible to a terrorist attack because they're winning anyway. They don't need to attack.
Yeah.
They're winning.
But you see,
They are planting flags everywhere.
Yep, exactly. That's the problem. It's, you know, I've always said terrorism is not the biggest problem with Islam. The biggest problem with Islam is them getting political and basically manipulating the voter system to gradually, you know, impose their will upon us. And that's exactly the problem that we're seeing. I would say, you know, it's the crazy terrorists that are the big problem. Like Axel Rudabakana, this guy, whether he's a terrorist or not today, it's the crazy ones that are the problem because you can't predict what they're going to do. You can't predict what they're going to do.
The lone wolves.
Exactly. And that's what that's the biggest problem. And if that happens again, Paul, I honestly think that the country will go up.
Richard, I'm afraid to say, mate, what are you talking about? If it happens again?
When?
Exactly.
When? Yeah. Yep. So, you know, there we go. There was one more thing we were going to do. Hang on, what is it? Oh yeah, let's have a bit of Trump. Let's have a little bit of the Donald. So we looked at Keir Starmer earlier. This is the sort of leader that you want in the country, right? Let's just listen to the Donald doing one of his presentations.
And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit. So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped. But everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You've got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it.
Well, we'll stop that there. I mean, the difference, we played Clueless Keir earlier on, and then you got the Don, you know.
Yeah, the leader of the free world.
The Teflon Don. I mean, he's just, you know, he is, you know, he kind of talks a bit like, he's from New York, he kind of talks like a bit of an Irish or an Italian gangster, you know what I mean? But I love it. I think it's great, you know, just, you'll either make a deal or we'll kill you. Yeah. That's just the way it is, you know. He's a funny guy. He really is a funny guy.
Right, Rich, before we go, I want to appeal to everyone tonight. Don't forget, get out there. When you're on these other channels, Rachel Reeves needs to be investigated. I think we need a full police investigation into Rachel Reeves's acquaintances, what they potentially have on her. This guy has allegedly said that she's in his back pocket. She's the Chancellor. This has to be a police investigation.
Absolutely. And just to cheer everybody up, because I know everybody was really, really enjoying this when we first came on the channel. So just to make everyone put a smile on everybody's face before we go. There we go.
There we go. There he is.
And there he is again.
I still think you should. I still think you should put the grieving widow up.
No. Behave yourself, Paul. You're a bad man. This is my channel. This is my island. You know? Well, guys, listen, good show. Thankfully, all happy and everybody's smiling and there's no grief.
Are you up to date, Richard? Are you up to date with your supers?
With the supers? I think so. I think I am. Yeah, I think I am. Let's have a look. Richard, yeah, this is the last one that we had. Richard, keep up these more light-hearted fun chats with Paul. Love both you guys. Show SDB. Wano, thanks very much for that. Yeah, we will do these because at the end of the day, it's good fun.
We need to get Danny on the next one because the next time Danny's on, Danny, if you're watching, I'm going to rip you a new arsehole, mate. Next time you come on, I've got it in for you, Danny. Get yourself on here, boy, because you're going to cop it.
Well, that's a really good way of getting him on, Paul, isn't it? He's really going to go for that one. You know, you come on, Danny, we're going to make an absolute mug out of you. Yeah, that's really going to sell it to him. Danny, come on, I'll look after you, mate. Don't worry about him bullying you, mate. You know, me and you ganged up are well able for Thorpe. Don't worry about
that.
Guys, listen, great show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Paul, it's good to have you on my channel for once.
By the way, Richard, I know you won't show that image, but we'll just sort of like
okay.
I want to give.
I'm going to end the stream. I'm ending the stream right now. Nobody's going to.
Can we?
No, you're a bad man. I'm ending the stream. Bye, everybody.